Hello, Devlin Bishop here with you, and welcome to Devlin's Pirate Radio Show. And it is nice to be back on a weekly basis. I used to do this weekly, and I pretty much didn't miss that many, and we did like about 118 in a row. And then I took a bit of a break, and now I'm back weekly again, and I'm kind of glad. I guess I needed that little bit of a break in order to just kind of recharge my batteries, and now I'm ready to talk about a lot of things. I've talked to a couple people that some I've asked if they'd be interested in doing the show, and they've said yes. Some have actually asked me if they could do my show. Some people think that that's not right, and I guess I understand it, because I think if I had a person who I knew did a podcast that I could, be on. I know there's a lot of podcasts that my friends have that I just wouldn't fit. But every once in a while I come across one that's saying, oh yeah, I love that kind of stuff. And but I probably wouldn't ask. But I have no problem if anybody asks me to be on the show. And most likely I'll have you on, because I like to think this is a show where we promote everything. You regulars who listen to the show know that I just basically talk about my mind. Sometimes I talk about some pop culture stuff. Sometimes I talk about just what's going on in my personal life, observations of the world. It depends really on my mood. This week I've been having Christmas on my mind so much. Now, I have talked about the past about how some people jump the gun on Christmas and stuff, and I don't put them down in any way. I'm all for it. If you love Christmas, then by all means, if that makes you feel good, that's fine. I personally don't jump the gun on it, just because of the fact that I find that if I have Christmas up too long, then by the time Christmas comes, by Boxing Day, I'm ready to rip all the decorations down. And I don't actually like that. I like to keep my decorations up all through New Year's. And even in my birthday, I love having the tree up and stuff like that. So, so I'm never a big thing. But I've had Christmas on my mind now for a while, because, as you know, I've got my Santa show coming up, my Devlin's Christmas monologues. In fact, you're probably listening to this. It's either coming right up or it's already passed. But I'm doing it at the staircase. And it's been fun recollecting about Christmases past and that, because that's what I do. And I think it's doing this show that kind of made me miss doing this pirate radio show. Because for anybody who knows my pirate radio show or actually wants to go back and listen to it, I love telling stories, and sometimes I monologue on this, and it's nice that one day I'll look back and remember all these great shows and stuff. And yeah, I'm very excited about that. I'm more excited than you could imagine about that. Anyhow, so it's been great going through Christmases past, the good times, the ugly times, the crazy times, and we've all had different styles of Christmases. But at the end of the day, I absolutely adore Christmas. But it's weird, because as much as I'm thinking of Christmas, and I have to think of Christmas songs to put in the show, I have to think of Christmas, everything, I actually won't be starting celebrating my Christmas until next week, probably. After the show's done, that's when I start putting music in my MP3. That's when the house is getting decorated. That's when I hope to finish my Christmas shopping. And that's when I hope to get the Christmas cards out. Because I'm, one of those old-fashioned guys who still, every year I say I'm not going to do it, and then I see a nice card that I want to send out, and then Mike and I have a night of, sending out, a couple of cards to our close friends and stuff to let them know we're thinking about them. I know there's so much, people are saying you could use that for charity. You could, you're hurting the environment. A lot of cards are made with recycled paper now. I still think it's a nice thing. You can send a GIF of something, Happy Christmas, or whatever you want. And funny, because I'll be talking about GIFs a little bit later. I still do it. I still like doing it. I still like having something physical. Even if people, throw it in their recycle bin or, put it through the paper shredder, right after Christmas, at least they have, hey, they can look at the card. Because when I see cards that people send me, and trust me, this less and less each year, but it smiles because it brings me old time memories and stuff like that. And, I think that's just kind of nice. You know me. I'm the nostalgia guy. What can I say? So anyhow, we're doing it again. We found cards that we really liked, so that's going to be happening too. So yeah, so I'm in Christmas mode, but technically I'm not in Christmas mode. As in, I have to be thinking about it for the show, but it won't be till after the show where Christmas really kicks in. And I'm very happy to say I'm almost done my Christmas shopping, and I'm not gloating in any way. I don't like that because I know some people put it off to the end, or some people are just so busy. For me, I don't make a lot of money in my life, so I have to kind of break it up. I can't be one of these people like, oh, I got 2 paychecks till Christmas. I can't do that. I've got bills to pay and stuff like that. So if I break up the shopping a little bit each week, I started, I think the first gift I got was in August. And then I slowly built, and I really pushed a couple times. So the thing is when I'm finished, then I can actually just sit back and enjoy the holidays, and watch the specials and listen to the music and stuff. And I don't have to be listening to Bing Crosby's White Christmas and going, oh, and then suddenly, oh my God, I still got so much presents to get. I have to get all the snacks for people when they, entertain over the holiday season. I can actually just say, I've done all that. So, but I'm not gloating in any way. And as much as I let people celebrate Christmas as early as they want, hey, you can put your tree up before Halloween if you want. But just remember, when you overflood Christmas on Facebook, that there are a lot of people that don't have nice Christmases. Maybe they're alone, or maybe they've just lost somebody very special in their life, or maybe they just don't like Christmas. And just think of something you don't like that's thrown in your face, like something on Facebook. I'm sure you can think of something, whether it's like sports talk or political talk or something. That's what it feels like to them. So most of them won't say anything, and the trolls that do, just ignore them. But just kind of remind yourself that, yeah, I've seen things oversaturated, so, keep that in mind. I've got a lot of things to talk about. Couple movie reviews. I finally made it to the movies, and I am going to keep reviewing movies. That's what I do. And so a couple people have told me they like listening to my reviews. So I got 2 today to do. I'm going to be doing, right now, I'm going to be doing Thor Ragnarok. And then coming up later in the second half of the show, I'm going to do Murder on the Orient Express, the new Kenneth Branagh film based on the Agatha Christie novel that's had a couple movies made of it. But this is the brand new one that's in theaters right now. Right now I'm going to take a look at Thor Ragnarok. It's the newest in the Marvel Film Fest, and it's another winner. I don't think they've had a real clinker yet. My least favorite is probably Ant-Man, but even that was entertaining. Thor Ragnarok is getting some great reviews. I've looked around, and I know a lot of my friends love it. And a lot of critics absolutely love it. And it's taken a different turn. The Thor movies have all been kind of like, I think I would call them uneven. I like the Thor movies, but I know a lot of people who didn't. So they've gone in a new direction. And although they make it sound like it's a brand spanking new direction, I think a lot of liberties are taken because it is similar to the Guardians of the Galaxy style. But only the style. They do go into the humor aspect of it, but I think Guardians still does storytelling better, and I'll get to that. I actually enjoyed Thor Ragnarok, and I didn't mind the change of tones in the movie. I think it's a natural progression. Thor was kind of, like a heroic guy who was a little bit thing, and he kind of builds in character. We've seen him through the movies kind of build, and he's actually getting a sense of humor and stuff like that. I don't mind that Thor has a sense of humor in this movie. I think it's nice for a nice light tone. What I do have a problem with is at times Thor becomes an absolute buffoon. Basically, Pratt falls, throwing something metal, bouncing back, hitting him in the head. I think that kind of slapstick, trying to make him more like something like Star-Lord would be. I'm not a big fan of that. I like that there's a lot of humor in this movie. I actually think there's too much humor in this movie. It's directed, oh my god, I don't have my notes in front of me. It's directed by a very talented director who worked on What We Do in the Shadows, which is a movie I just recently saw. Very good. Maybe I'll look it up here and try to look a little bit professional to see who the director is. But I think he made a really light movie. It looks awesome. I love Thor's new look. That's not really a spoiler. If you've seen the trailers, he's got the hair shortened now, and I actually really like it. I don't mind Thor with the long hair, but I always thought there were times Thor had looked like he had a really bad wig on. And yeah, that's not cool. But I really like his new look, and I like a lot of the comedy in this movie. I am a little distracted because of how much comedy is in this movie. In fact, a lot of people went in saying this is a comedy, and then other people said no, it's not a comedy. It's a drama with a comedy. And now that I've seen it, it is most definitely a comedy. The reason why is because the storytelling is very uneven. In a lot of ways, but because it's just packed with so much humor and adventure and excitement that you enjoy yourself. But then when I look back at it, I just think there are some pretty serious things here. I won't go into spoilers, but there's like a major death. There's a major event that happens that should have been played a little bit sad, and in both cases one was played just like nothing, like oh well, things happen. The other one was played as a joke, and it was kind of sad. This monumental event, something that has been in the MC universe since the first Thor movie, is suddenly not there anymore, and they actually make a joke just before and after it disappears. And I was not too thrilled with that. The director, by the way, is Taika Waititi. Taika Waititi. I don't know. I'm probably crucifying, and I do apologize. Please yell at me if you are Taika Waititi and saying wrong, because you are a very talented director. I'll give you that, and screenwriter. As I said, I had a lot of fun with the movie. My problem is the uneven tone. The reason why I say Guardians does things better is Guardians, in both Guardians movies, they handle the humor and they let a lot of the characters be humorous. Thor, everybody's humorous. Loki's humorous. The Hulk's humorous. Cate Blanchett, who's an incredible villain, actually, they give her lines to be humorous, and I really didn't need her to be humorous. But everybody's humorous because it's a comedy movie. I didn't take it anything like that. Now, with Guardians, they actually not only do the action really good as well, but they have sentimental scenes that have had me in tears, just crying for the character development and stuff. Thor, we don't really see that. Thor, I'm happy to say that Thor, the scene stealer in Thor, is Chris Hemsworth. They realize this guy has some comedic chops and timing, and it's incredible. Like I love that Thor is the star of Thor, and all the other people are great in this movie. But it's just the comedy, it's unbelievable. And when I hear critics saying how much they absolutely adore this new tone, I think really we went from everything has to be like the Dark Knight to everything's got to be like pull your pants down, make jokes about stuff like that. Do we really need that in all our superhero movies? As I said, Guardians does it better because they have sentimental scenes that, actually have people in tears. That second Guardians, I know some really strong men in my life, and they said that they were really brought to tears with some of the storylines near the end of the film. Here, they have a big ending that should have had a little bit more sadness, and they played it off jokingly, because that's what this movie does. Don't get me wrong. I really enjoyed Thor Ragnarok. I don't think I'm going to run to see it at the theaters again. I'll just wait till I get it on Blu-ray and then watch it again. Just because, as I said, I didn't have any emotional investment. I never felt that any of the characters were in danger. I wasn't on the edge of my seat at any time. My biggest problem with it is Loki, Tom Hiddleston, who, don't get me wrong, I love the actor, and I think he has brought so much to the character Loki. But because they like to keep putting him in, and he has been established as a villain, and he's literally caused so much trouble to Earth and so many of the characters. But yet, every time he shows up in a Thor movie, they play him kind of as funny, lighthearted, goofy, and then there's always a reveal that he's not on the right side, and we're all supposed to be shocked by it. Now, they actually play that. With character development, they play that up a little bit, so I won't give it away because there's some nice stuff they do with it. But my problem is that it's like he's a villain in one movie, and then they try to make him like this anti-hero hero in the other one, and I'm having a hard time like dealing with the fact that Loki is actually the cause for a good part of what happened in Ragnarok. Like he literally causes, I can't spoil it, but he basically causes someone's life to perish. And then I like that if I don't say the word die and I use the word perish, that's not great. But they also just kind of, he's responsible for a lot of this movie. And yet still they try to work him in as he might be regretful, he might be a hero, and I'm like kind of losing my respect for the character Loki. Not Tom Hiddleston, he still brings so much to the role, but I'm just kind of like, they gotta get their shit together with Loki, because it's like, Loki was, their best villain in this Marvel Cinematic Universe. In fact, a lot of their villains are almost forgettable. I remember the actor, but I don't remember the characters they played. But Loki, to me, is flip-flopping so much that I find him hard to be a menace anymore. Like, because I know he's either going to help them or he's going to betray them, but he's not going to get his hands dirty. So, yeah, I think the movie is a bit of a mess when it comes down to that. I do want to give a shout-out to Jeff Goldblum. He's really great in his part. It's like he came and just said, I'm playing Jeff Goldblum. And I think that's awesome, because he's really fun in this movie. As I said, everybody is pretty humorous in this movie. And Mark Ruffalo's Hulk, always a treat to see. It's nice to see him in a movie where he gets a little bit more screen time and not just like waged into an Avengers film. So anyhow, it's an enjoyable film. You've probably already seen it, but if you haven't, go check it out. And I'll be talking about Murder on the Orient Express coming up later. On a score of 0 to 5 for Thor Ragnarok, I think I would give it a 3. As I said, I wasn't as impressed with it as everything, but I did still enjoy it. I still liked how it looked. I still think there was a lot of potential there. I just think that if they continue the course of making the movies in this style, I think the Marvel Universe is going to unravel at some point. And right now, they've got such an incredible track record. I think they should, keep lightheartedness, but not this lighthearted. This is a bit much. All right, moving on. I have never done things orthodoxly. I don't even know if that's a word. Unorthodoxly. Anyhow, I never did everything I'm supposed to in life. As in, I actually think life shouldn't have a master list. But I think it does. I think you're supposed to check off things as you go. And I think we've gotten to the point that we're losing a lot of dreamers and bohemians and people just trying different things because we're taught at an early age this is how your life is supposed to be. You go to school, you get a job, go to higher education, continue getting a job, fall in love, buy a house, get a mortgage, have kids. And you check things off until you get to funeral, and you do that, finally, did it all. And that's why I think it's funny how now all our dreams and passions and goals are now put on bucket lists. Now, I never followed, sure you do things in life, but I never followed the bucket. Not the bucket list, but the actual list of life. I've never done that, and I think I'm okay with that. I think I turned out pretty okay with that. You see, I have a problem with seeing young people that are so anxious to get to bucket lists that they're screwing up their lives because they're not actually taking time to do some of the fun things they should be doing. So now what happens is people create these bucket lists, and you know what? Praise to you if you've got a bucket list. I've told some people, why don't you do a bucket list? But I found these people were really just because they're following the other list of life. So we have to do this now. I have to get married. I have to, so thing that I kind of recommended, maybe you should do a bucket list because there's fun stuff on that. And, yeah, but I think my problem is sometimes I feel weird because I don't have a bucket list because it's so the in thing to have. My bucket list is not there. I don't think of I have to go to this place. I have to go to this place. I want to go bungee jumping. I want to jump out of a plane. If those things happen in my life, then they happen. But everything I've done has never been really planned. Sure, I had to go to school. I didn't go to higher education. I stumbled into my first job, stayed there 26 years. I got into retail. I'm still kind of dealing with that, dealing with stuff like that. I fell in love later on in my life. I didn't fall in love earlier in my life. The times I did fall in love later in life, I found out that it wasn't necessarily the love of all. I later found out that you can love more than one person, and I don't mean that in a sexual way. I just mean that real love is more than the physical stuff, and you can actually fall in love with many. So I totally, at one time I wanted kids, and then I said, no, I don't want to have kids. I'm not responsible enough. I see people having kids for the sake of having kids, and then when the kids show up, you can always tell the parents who really wanted the kids, and then you can always tell the ones that were just yeah, we did it because that was our next best thing. That was the next thing on the list. So I guess I'm not surprised I don't have a bucket list, but there's so many things that I've done that I never thought I would do. Doing improv, doing shows, teaching improv, doing a podcast, doing, a review show with my best friend, the Damien and Devlin show, a little plug there. These are all things. Falling in love with more than one person. I have my partner. I have my soulmate. I have my best friends. These are people I'm in love with. These are not just people I love. So I feel weird that I don't have a bucket list because other people, they just say, and sometimes it's funny when they put something on Facebook and they it's just, well, that's an odd bucket list thing to have. But I don't judge people, and I have no problem if you have a bucket list and stuff. I just think we rely on it too much. And it explains so much when I see people having a list for binge watching. I don't even know if these people like the shows. They just oh, what should I watch next? I've watched this, and this, but I need some more stuff to watch. and they have like a master list of things they want to do. Now, there's a time I think lists are important. I think, if I have a busy week, like the week I have ahead of me with all the stuff, I need to have a list to figure out all the stuff I need to accomplish. But when you start planning lists in your life all the time and that's it, get off the list every once in a while. That's all I'm saying. You can have your list. You can have your life list. You can have your bucket list. You can have your binge watching list. You can have your list of, your favorite people that you want to hang out with. But stray from that list every once in a while and just try new things. Don't get so focused, or one day you'll be sitting there finally catching up on Breaking Bad, making arrangements to go parasailing for your first time, and then you realize you get hit by a bus and it's done. And your bucket list or life's list hasn't been completed. Who cares? Now, I told this to a friend, and he actually said, well, I don't think it's weird that you don't have a bucket list. I think that you've already accomplished so many amazing things in your life that you have done so much already. And it might not be the big things like other people. Like when people say, oh, have you traveled a lot? And I say, no. Sometimes they stick up their nose at me, but maybe that's not part of my list. I certainly am not going to start doing one now. I actually, I joke that I have a fuck it list. People I would love to have sex with. It's never going to happen, but that's my fuck it list. I also joke that my bucket list is filled with people. My bucket list, if I honestly said it, I want to spend more time with my friends. I want to spend time with my friends that are like family. I want to get a chance to get to know somebody like maybe that I just met that I think we would make great friends. Like if you look at if I made a bucket list, it would be filled with names on it and stuff like that. So, yeah. So all I say is I'm not putting you down for having a bucket list. I'm not putting you down if you follow life's lists. Hey, life is in some ways like a cult. And I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me, but my new Devlin Pirate Radio show, I'm just going to let it rip. And, it's not like, I'm going to be attacked by my 17 followers because I'm still winning them back. But honestly, I don't care what I say in that, but life is like a cult. We raise our kids, and I was raised this way, to follow certain things. You have to do this. If your father or mother played hockey, you have to learn how to play hockey. And then, you throw hockey into their face so much, and then when they decide, I want to play hockey, you make a big announcement on it on Facebook when it's like, well, yeah, you forced them into it. Did you talk to them about ballet? Did you talk to them about, motorbike riding or anything like that? Did you give them options? No. You're going to do this, and yeah. If I had a kid and I force-fed Star Wars to it as a child, and one day the kid's like, I really love Star Wars. I wonder why. Now, if that kid comes out and says, I prefer Star Trek, I wouldn't disown the child, never would. But I would be like, where'd you get that from? But at least it would be the kid thinking independently, and knowing me, I'd probably become a bigger fan of Star Trek to help that kid learn more about it. So anyhow, I'm just saying, if you're on the list, don't be afraid to stray away from it. And don't be afraid if you're not accomplishing it. God, we would probably eliminate the divorce rate by half if basically we just waited to be with people we absolutely love and not be, okay, I'm comfortable with this person. I think I love this person. I've been with them for a couple of years. So yeah, I must be marrying this person. And then 14 years later, you find out, I'm not happy. She's not happy. He's not happy. We're breaking up. And then everybody has to deal with all that crap because of the fact that if you just took some time and went off the list, you would have been fine. And same with your bucket list. Okay, so what if you didn't get to, swim the English Channel? Great stuff on that list that you did do. I baked a souffle. I learned how to tie my shoelaces before I was like all the other kids did in school. That's stuff that should be on your bucket list because that's awesome. Your binge watching list. Get what do you call it? Watch something you wouldn't normally watch. Take a recommendation that you wouldn't. It's like, yeah, this show is exactly like these shows, so you probably like it. Yeah, you probably will. But why don't you take a chance on something like, God, I hated that one show. This might be like it, but don't. Get off the list. Even your comfort, people that you're with, don't be afraid to go out with coffee with somebody who's a different age of yours or a different race or a different religion of yours. Yeah, it's cool that you have friends all your same age, but you know what? You don't learn much from that. I'm not saying you don't, you do. But I'm just saying, take a chance. Go and make friends with somebody younger or older or anything. Just get off these lists, damn it. The only lists that are important are what you have to do this week, and you have to accomplish it. Or bill paying. That's pretty important, too. Anyhow, I'm going to go make a list. That's all we seem to do nowadays. Sorry, I can't go out with you because I got to spend the evening making a list. Okay, I got to go make my list now for the week. Why don't you enjoy this short intermission, and I'll be back to talk about a lot of stuff. But first, we'll take a ride on the Orient Express.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just dandy. The chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Welcome back. Hopefully you got yourself a nice beverage to sit back and listen. If you made it to the second part, thank you. Hope I didn't offend you. I got to the movies a couple times this week. As I said, I reviewed Thor Ragnarok, and now I'm going to review Murder on the Orient Express. This is the new Kenneth Branagh version of the Agatha Christie novel, and he plays her famous detective, Hercule Poirot. I may have got that wrong, but I did my best. And besides Kenneth Branagh, who plays Hercule Poirot, look at this cast: Penelope Cruz, Willem Dafoe, Judi Dench, Johnny Depp, Josh Gad, Derek Jacobi, Leslie Odom Jr., Michelle Phillips, and Daisy Ridley, to name but a few. This is based on one of her most famous novels, and has been made into a movie several times. I was very excited for this movie because I like Kenneth Branagh. He's usually a really good director and really awesome actor. And just this cast is just incredible. And I thought there's so much you could do with this set piece, because you got the beautiful train, you got the beautiful, country that it's driving through, and then you got a murder mystery in it. I was first surprised by how small the train actually is. There's only a couple of cars on this, so to make a movie with just a small cast like this is very hard. But Kenneth Branagh does his best, and I have to say I was a little disappointed by this movie. I know some people are kind of mixed with this. I just had problems with it right from the beginning. First of all, Kenneth Branagh does a pretty good job of directing this. There are moments that are actually breathtaking, and some of the shots on the train and in the train and of the train riding are absolutely gorgeous. He makes the cast look incredible, and he's okay in the role. I found him a little quirky, and I know the character probably is quirky, but I felt it was almost, when I started watching this, I actually was wondering if they were playing it out like the movie Clue, a really slapsticky comedy, because at the very beginning he's just so over the top with his character. I actually thought, oh my god, is this a comedy version? But then you soon find out that it's not a comedy version. I wish it was more of a serious version, but it actually comes off a little boring. And I can't see how you'd make a movie so boring with such a great cast, and everybody steps up to the plate. I found the screenplay to be really weird. It's yeah, I don't know. I've never read the book, so I don't know if there's direct quotes from it or anything. But some of the lines seem very profound. But then again, every once in a while, it seems like this just seems like scripted words that they're saying. This doesn't seem like how people talk. And that gave me a real problem. Not to mention, it is kind of hard to build tension on a on a story where there's not a lot going on. He does the best to utilize it. The train actually breaks down at one point, and he gets them off the train, and it's nice. You get to see a little thing. So, Kenneth did the best he could on this, but I really think, I don't know. I kind of like old murder mysteries and, where you detect things, but to me, every time they detected things, it just seemed like they were making stuff up, like, just to suit the story. And I feel badly because I know this is a very much loved book from a very much loved mystery author. Maybe, I don't want to say it's dated because I love period pieces, but the unraveling of the mystery of this was kind of boring for me. And then when they actually, and I'm not going to give away who the killer is, or if it follows the book or any of the movies, because, but I was very dissatisfied. In fact, I thought to myself, oh my God, this is a horrific idea. This is a horrible revelation. And not in a, oh my God, I'm so shocked kind of way, but just in a, really? This is how they're going to resolve the movie? And I actually don't know if it's the same ending to the book. Well, I actually did. I know somebody who read the book, and I asked her. But I'm not going to tell you because I don't want to spoil this, because I think some people will actually enjoy this movie. I've seen period movies and I've seen murder mysteries that have kept me on the edge of my seat. This was not one of them. This had so many problems in it, and I hated not liking it because it all looks so good. Costumes look amazing. The set production, incredible. As I said, there's some directing shots that are really, really nice. Then there's a couple pieces that just made me cringe a lot. And the ending just lost me. It just lost me because it made this big build up that I didn't feel was like a big build up. It was just a build up. And then the unraveling of it, I just prayed to God that Agatha Christie wrote something better. And I won't tell you if this is the original ending or not, because I literally had to ask somebody, because I really worried that if this was Agatha Christie's original ending, why the hell was this book a classic? But, yeah, I wish I could give more love to Murder on the Orient Express, but for me, this is not a total train wreck, but pretty darn close. On a scale of 1 to 5 or 0 to 5, I will give Murder on the Orient Express a 2. And that's a very generous 2. And that 2 has a lot to do with the fact that I respect all the people involved in this. I like that they tried to make something here. I just felt that the screenplay and the pacing of the film was a little drab, boring. And that ending to me was not as groundbreaking as I think it was hoping to be. But anyhow, some of you might like it, and as I always said, don't go just by my reviews. Thank you if you appreciate my reviews, but always check it out. I have some great people I watch that review, and many times we disagree on movies, but I still want to hear what they have to say. But it all comes down, it's subjective, so go hit the theaters. And we're coming up to Christmas, so there's going to be a lot of great movies in the theaters, so check them out. I want to talk about young people a little bit. I work with a lot of young people. I also teach improv, and I absolutely adore their energy, and sometimes when I get a chance to talk to them, I'm really surprised by their views in life and stuff. But I'm gonna bitch a little bit here, because that's what I do. I have a show, so I get to rant and rave. And I can't believe how sick a lot of these kids are. Like, not just like calling in all the time sick, but like they always seem to have a cold or they never sleep properly anymore. I'm not sure exactly why this is. I remember I could have the end of the world, in angst, and I'd still get a good night's sleep. Not to mention, I used to be able to run on 3-4 hours of sleep and I'd be fine. Now I actually see I've seen 8-year-olds with big bags under their eyes, that look like they're not sleeping or they're sick all the time. Also, they have bad backs all the time. I don't have the greatest back as it is, but I still, do my share whenever they need some lifting or something like that. I won't go. I'm at that age now that I can, use the old, yeah, that's a little heavy for me, but I'm not afraid. And I grew up in a generation where, we weren't afraid to lift things and stuff. But now a lot of these kids are they have bad backs. And, I think some of it's from the big backpacks they carry or the fact that they sit around a lot and stuff like that. And I worry about them because I've talked on podcasts before that we are raising victims, not survivors. And I said that always on a mental plane, but I'm actually talking about a physical plane. I even see people that are, and I'm not knocking gym people again, but people that regularly go to the gym, but they couldn't lift a box to save their life. They can pump iron for hours, but then, they twist the wrong way and say, oh my God, my back, that box of books is just too much. And I'm not putting down young people, but I really worry about the world because it's just mentally, I've talked about it before, we're raising smart kids that don't have any emotional senses. Now, please, once again, when I talk about this, I'm not talking about every kid on the planet. I have met some wonderful kids that are healthy and strong and mentally sound, and they will help you at any need. But I'm talking about a lot of the majority that I see. Please, I would love to see if you have 100 or so kids that are in good shape. Let me see them, because when at work, it's just a crick in my neck, and it devastates them. Literally, they have to go home and stuff. I remember having a bad back. And yes, I won't lie, there were times I called up at work, but I remember times just slathering my back in that, the back medicine and stuff, icy cold or whatever that is, and just going to work and just working it out because, they always tell you that. But now it's no, I'll do that. Even and I think parents don't help either, I've met some kids that, the parents are still doing their laundry in their 20s and stuff, because they don't want, their kids to lift that laundry basket. It's come on. There was a time where kids went out and mowed the lawn and did all this work before they got to do all the fun stuff. Now kids can sleep in and, sometimes they have 2 part-time jobs yet. And I don't really think a lot of times, trust me, I work with a lot of young people that are really good workers. Don't get me wrong. But there are a lot more that have 2 part-time jobs, they have school, and they're just exhausted all the time. I don't really think they're bringing their A game to any of the situations. And to me, this says, why in the hell is this happening? Anyhow, just a little statement. And if you are a young person, I'm not putting you down. If you have, a lot of this has a lot to do with your upbringing or something like that. And there's a lot of cases that it's just your how you were born. Some people are born with bad backs or, get migraines and stuff. But I'm just saying, if there's stuff you can do about it, look into it. GIFs. I don't know what they're called. I never know what these are talked, but I want to talk about these just because there's a funny thing that happened to me. Recently on Facebook, a friend of mine, I will not name names, had posted a meme about how the world's changed and how we don't, celebrate Christmas the way we used to, where we had friends and family over. How we don't take the time to sit and talk or go out anymore and just, be. And how the new world is a little bit different. Now, I totally agree with all the stuff that was said. And how we need to take time to be people and stuff. And I'm totally on board for this. So I felt this person might have needed some cheering up, so I decided to write a little note. I wrote the little note, I sent it, and I got a GIF back. A GIF, whatever you want to call it. So somebody who posted something about complaining about how the world has become cold and unsensitive couldn't take the time to say thank you for that, it meant a lot, and instead sent me some cute little cartoon character with hearts. I find there's an irony about that. And I think some of you who have probably been in the same boat are laughing your asses right now. Because of the fact that, how can you go from complaining about how the world is too cold and we don't take the time? Now, sure, they took time looking for that GIF unless they have a whole bunch on board to pop up at any time. But I find there's an irony about the fact that we don't take time for people and don't personalize things, and yet, here's a picture. Now, I have no problems with getting GIFs or GIFs, and if you've sent me one, I wasn't upset by it. I just find it funny. And I find that we're using them a little too much lately. I actually go and look on Facebook, and if I see people having a bad day, I'll just send a nice little letter. Or if I haven't heard from some in a while, I'll just send a little letter and stuff. And it's nice when I get a reply, and many times I do, but it's funny when you just get a GIF, oh, here's a picture of Macaulay Culkin from Home Alone, he's shocked, and, stuff like that, or, some Care Bears or Minions, I'm more touched if it's a cartoon character that I absolutely love. I'm not a big Minions fan, so when I get Minions, sure, I still take it as, well, that's sweet, they sent it, and they probably didn't know. But it's nice when I get the Peanuts or Star Wars or Superman characters. I like when we answer things with GIFs too. I'm not saying when you say to Facebook, send a GIF that makes you... Yes, I keep changing GIF and GIF because I don't know what it is. Yes, I'm old. But anyhow, I like when they send you that and you'll post something really profound and then they'll put two Smurfs or something. And it's just that kind of kills my profoundness because I have this beautiful statement I wrote up here and right underneath. And people that are scrolling will think that I actually posted that Smurf unless they stop and look at it. So here I'm talking about how the meaning of life is something we should all find and live by. And there's two Smurfs hugging. People will think I put that. And I'm sorry, as much as I enjoy a nice Smurf GIF, meme, people will think I put that, and they're not going to take me serious. Not that I think anybody takes me serious anytime, any day, but the one person or two people that might say, why did he put two Smurfs hugging? Because they just flipped through because they wanted to get to their next cat video. Be careful with the GIFs and GIFs. Imagine you knew somebody who just lost somebody close to them, like their mother or their partner or a child. And they wrote, I'm sorry for the loss, just lost, somebody very special. My father passed away or something. And imagine you send a GIF instead of a nice, I'm really sorry for your loss, or maybe send them a card or a nice email or something, and you just send a shot of a smiling lion or something. Imagine that, just you're. I don't even know how I'd react to that. Somebody close to me just died, and there's a lion that has teeth that's smiling because they made animated teeth on it. Sorry for your loss. Maybe this will cheer you up. Again, the effort is taken totally. I do not poo-poo on the effort. I just think about it. Think about it when you do these things. Don't be promoting that there's no interaction with the world. We don't do things in the old ways, and then send me a damn GIF. I don't think the person that did that is listening, but if they are, just learn from it. Don't take it personal. I kind of like the new edgier me. I don't know if I'm edgier. I think I'm edgier, but I know if somebody listened to this, that yeah, you're not edgy. You're not edgy, but this is me now. I've always said my podcast is for me to be myself, because I can't be that way in the world anymore. The world has told me we don't accept you this way. So now this is me, and if you're part of the 17 or the building 17 that I'm hoping to win back, thank you for still staying here. I got one more thing that kind of follows Facebook too. It's those moments in Facebook that you chase people, and then you come to the realization there's nothing to chase because they've either unfriended you or they've but we constantly always seem to want something we don't have. And it saddens me when I see this, like when somebody decides they want to hey, I'm going to send a note to this person, finds out they're unfriended, unfollowed, anything like that. And then it upsets you, even though it took nothing for that person to hey, I'm going to unfriend you. They didn't send you an unfriend. They just, I don't really talk to him anymore. I even heard somebody say, just because I unfriended them doesn't mean I don't like them anymore. I just don't want to see their daily ramblings. Come on, that's what a slap in the face. But anyhow, yeah, it's disturbing when you realize, hey, that person's not my friend. And trust me, I take it real personal. But what I'm trying to get is, why do we chase these people? I like to say I'm a really good friend. And I know probably not with everybody, but with the really close people in my life, I bend over backwards. And when I see people chasing after people, I try to let them just do it now, because I know they're going to get heartbroken. Though I constantly tell them, why don't you take that energy of being upset now because you tried to, and why don't you do something nice for one of the people in your life that are doing it? Why keep chasing after somebody who makes it clear they don't want anything to do with you? You keep leaving text, you keep leaving phone calls, whatever the case is. They're not replying to you. There's a point you got to just say, they don't want me in their life anymore. So take that energy and give it to someone that wants your time, wants your love. Trust me, I'm one of those people. I can't get enough love. I'm a attention whore. There, I said it. But I know it's human nature to want stuff that we don't have. But I'm talking, it gets a little disturbing when it's on a love relationship, because usually it tries to say that, well, I just don't want to lose this person out of my life. And I totally get that. There's nothing wrong with that. But there comes a point where you just realize, oh, they unfriended me, or they're not returning my calls, or I keep asking them for a date to get together. And at some point, you start realizing there's a reason they're not doing it. They don't want to spend time with you. They might not hate you. They just don't want to spend time with you. And yet, there's probably 3-4 people in your life that actually want a phone call from you. Good Lord, I'd fall on my ass if I got a phone call from some people. I get the odd phone call from a couple of really good friends, but I know that's something we just don't do anymore. But anyhow, stop chasing people that are not there. Yes, it's always jarring. Even people I don't really, I'm friends with, but I don't really have a connection with, and I find out they're not following anymore. Yeah, of course it pisses me off. I'm a person. Of course I'm going to take it personal. But I try not to chase after people who it's starting to get clear that they don't want my time or energy. Or, they cancel stuff that you're supposed to do just always before it's going to happen. Of course I'm going to take that personally. But we need to learn to stop doing that, because we're kick ourselves when we're down, and it really has nothing to do with us. Sometimes people just outgrow each other. Times people just, one person loves hanging out with it, but the other person doesn't. And yes, it does hurt. It most certainly hurts. But at the same time, we got to stop hurting ourselves more by chasing these people. Next time you reach out to someone and they slap your hand or slap your face or that's even too much energy for them. They don't even respond. Why don't you take that time and energy and say, I know somebody who would love a note from me right now. I know somebody that I could just send a little, I'm thinking about you, and it'd make their whole night. You could send a 3-paragraph letter to somebody who doesn't want you, and they're still not going to call you or anything. But there are those people out there that you could write just a couple of small words, and you could brighten their day. So stop chasing after people that don't want you. And as soon as you figure out they don't want you, enough. Move on. But really make sure they don't want you, because there are times that they are just really busy. Even though I think that really good friends, even in times of busy, there are lots of times they can sacrifice if they really wanted to. Anyhow, that is my show. Hopefully I didn't bitch too much. I had a great time. Next week, I have no clue what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to be in full Christmas mode, or, well, maybe not next week, but soon I will be. So we will talk a little bit about Christmas. Really hoping to have a guest here. I'd really like one next week, but can't promise that. But I'm going to try. But we're going to have one soon. I want to get guests back in here, because I know you love hearing me talk, but it's so much nicer when I have someone to talk to sometimes. And it could be somebody new, could be somebody we've had before. You never know. Anyhow, thank you for listening, and thank you. You don't know how much it means that you take the time to listen to this, because I know the world gets busy, and the fact that you just press play means a lot. And I know it's a lot for me to ask, but if you listen to this on YouTube or iTunes, if there's a like, press like. Please comment. I'd love to hear some comments, see who I've won back, if there's new people that I've just got. Subscribe on YouTube, and you won't miss another thing. Also, don't forget I also do the Pages Mondo Nostalgia, which is fresh pretty much every day. I do miss it at times, but most of the time I have new content and of old stuff and new movie news and entertainment news as well. And don't forget, I do the Damien and Devlin show. I'm so proud of that, and we've got big things coming, and we always have a new review each week, so look for that as well. Anyhow, I had a great time, and thank you very much, and you have a great night, and I look forward to talking to you very, very soon.